Hey, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to Halal Crypto. Okay, so let's get right into it. Last week, or however many days ago that was, a few days ago, made a video, and I did say that I was going to make more of these more often. So here we go. So last week, where were we? We made these some of these horizontal support and resistance lines based on the daily, weekly, and monthly candles. As you can see, this right now is on a weekly time frame. Move this down here. Right now, we're on a weekly time frame. And why I'm on the weekly time frame? Because on Sunday at 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, the new week comes into play. So right now, it's closing in on 7 o'clock Central, 8 Eastern in 30 minutes. So I'm going to look over because a lot of times there's a lot of volatility on Sunday night, really at about 6 o'clock Eastern time. So I'm going to try to make sure that at least I try to get a video in this around this time frame. That way, at least we can be ready for the week coming up and know what to expect, so we don't panic. Anyway, so here we go. If we look at since we're on the weekly time frame, if we look at the weekly, we can see that these candles on a weekly time frame, it wicked down here. And if you're someone who says, listen, I buy on a weekly time frame every week, but I save my money until I will buy when it gets close to the weekly support, not at the weekly resistance. If you would have bought here this week, you would have got filled 1, 2, 3 times in the last 5 or 6 weeks, but in this week, you got filled and you would have been up. Let's see how many percent you would have been up now. If that's what you do, you'd have been up about 6 or 7%. Now, will it make it up to the next weekly? I seriously doubt that, but there's no guarantees in trading. But since the weekly time frame is a new week is about to come in, we can look and see if we need to move any of our weekly levels. And the answer to that is no. This weekly support has held up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. And then the weekly resistance has held up 1, 2, and going on 3 weeks. Actually, it's held up for about 5 weeks, but still. So we keep this weekly support and resistance here, and we can use that to gauge whether we should be looking to buy or sell. This is right in the middle of the range as far as week is concerned. So I would not be looking to do that if you are a weekly buyer. So let's move to the daily time frame. And on the daily time frame is what we're looking at. Has any of the daily supports or resistances changed? Here it came down on this day and then came back and has been going up ever since. So therefore, this daily support does not change. The daily resistance is right up against the daily resistance, which is at about 34,600 or so, 34,600. So if you were a person who buys on a daily basis, a little bit every day, is this a place that you'd be looking to buy? I would not look to buy here, but if I was in Bitcoin, I would be looking to maybe take some profits here. It has tried to get above this level 1, 2, 3, and this will be the 4th try. It's been rejected 3 times already at this level. So that's some information that you should consider, but never hodl unless you bought very low. I wouldn't be holding on just for some random rainy day, but hey, that's not what I do. But if you want to hodl, go right ahead. I wouldn't. So on the daily time frame, weekly, monthly, we got our levels. Then we added in our Fibonacci. And there's one thing that I needed to show you about the Fibonacci is that they have a tool on TradingView, Auto Fib Retracement, which you can, where basically it automatically puts the Fib retracement on here for you. And I will put it on now and see what they do. So when the Fibonacci retracement is pulled from high to low, it is showing you where the resistances are. Okay, so you look at these as resistances, points where perhaps if they line up with some other level that you're already at, maybe you can look at taking profits. And when it's pulled from low to high, you're looking at supports. So this auto fib retracement is pulling from the high to the low, which the high was of the recent swing high, about 41,000. The low was at 28. So you're looking at a 50% retracement from there. We're getting close to it. So it has hit that 3 times or so. I've gotten close to it and come back. So this is one thing, if you're not sure about where to pull your fibs from, you can always use this auto fib retracement tool. You just search for it up in the indicators here, and then you can let it put the Fibonacci retracement there for you, and it has the numbers mapped out. So when these numbers line up with other levels or get close to, it's a level that you probably should pay attention to. So, and if you change the time frame from the daily to the 4-hour, the Fibonacci pull, where it pulls from, may change because the swing high and swing low are going to be different. So we're on the hourly time frame, and it has pulled from here from 30,000 up to 33.6, but it has actually gone up here, but it hasn't swung back down yet. So that's why this one, it has not adjusted it. So you can use the Fibonacci retracement yourself and adjust it yourself. So like so, if you take your fib pull from here and you can put it on the most recent one, and these are supports. So if your support lines up with one of these numbers here, maybe it's an area of interest as far as support is concerned, the 0.618, 0.78, 0.5, some of those levels are very, commonly used as supports or resistances when it goes the other way. So that's Fibonacci. You can use auto fib retracement tool, or you can do it manually yourself. I usually don't use the auto fib retracement tool at all, but it works. It works just fine, just for if you just want to have it on there to get a quick look. So the next thing I would say on the list of things probably is trend line. So you have horizontal supports and resistances. The Fibonacci, you can go horizontally. Okay, let me show you levels. Now the trend lines is going to go diagonally, right? Diagonally. So you can use just a regular trend line, or you can use a array. And I'll show you, they're going to be up here in the top right. You can look over here, they have trend lines and not horizontal array, but array, where you can do a point to point. I like to use these where you just connect 2 points and then you can make a trend line. So how you would draw your trend line, there's no perfect way to do it. You can either touch the wicks, the very tops of the candles, and I like to go on a 1 hour or maybe 4-hour time frame, maybe the daily, but whatever the time frame, you can get a better idea sometimes by using a lower time frame. But what I like to do is to go from either a wick or just the body of a candle, and you can kind of get an idea of where the trend is going, possibly. Okay, so for instance, that is not that great. Let's see where I'm pulling this from. Let's pull this one from here. Let's see what we have here. Okay, and if you put the magnet on over there, I'll show you what a magnet is. It will snap this to you. The magnet right here, it'll make it snap to it. But for instance, what I would say is perhaps this here is a trend line that you should pay attention to. This is just something that I'm looking at from this point here to the next high here, and then it's coming up, getting close to hitting this trend line again. At least that's how I'm looking at it. Now, from below, we could pull another trend line, possibly a point to point, which you can put these in your favorites and then it'll show up in this bar down here. However, you can, if you connect the wicks here and then here, for instance, you will see, and let me take the Fibonacci off real quick so we can see. I can close it out real quick. And there you go. So from this point to this point, the trend seems like it's trending up. And then from the top It's going down here. So what I would say, perhaps you could put a trend line here, maybe. I like this one a little better, but we'll throw one in here just to see what we could possibly be looking at. Let's see, maybe from here and to here, maybe. Okay. Now, what does that look like to you? Let's see, we'll use that one. We'll use that. So what does this look like to you? You're up against, and the trend lines, you have to play with them and just keep using, and you'll see how they, sometimes they get respected, or sometimes certain patterns will come together as you put your trend lines. But if you look at this trend line here, and you look at this trend line here, and everybody had geometry in school, okay, or at some point in time, you can see what looks to be forming here. So if this trend line is resistance, 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 I wouldn't look to buy anything unless this resistance is broken. That's what I wouldn't do. Even if you're not in a trade right now, it's coming up against some horizontal resistance and trend line resistance. So I would be cautious getting in here. And you can also look in this on this sidebar here. I mean, if you know what a triangle looks like, you really don't need this, but I mean, you could still use it to, and there's this, you can make a pattern like this, use it to kind of show you the triangle that formed. Perfect, right on our trend lines. And it gives you a little more assurance of what you're doing maybe, but you really don't necessarily need it, but you can always do it. So you can pull the triangle from over there. And it looks like the price is getting compressed between these points here. And if it follows the triangle, the price will keep getting compressed closer and closer in until eventually it breaks out one way or the other. So a key point is that once you can see the pattern and how it's developing, you don't need to panic or get in a rush about getting in or out of a trade. If you are in a trade from the lows down here, then you can be looking to, perhaps if you're a person who takes profit, then this looks like an interesting area to be taking profit. Me personally, I would look at taking profits here, but you definitely can see that it has fluctuated back and forth between these highs and these lows. I personally am expecting it, I'm looking for it to come back down here. So what I would like to do is, if we look at this Fibonacci level to 0.618, also comes close to the daily resistance, which is here, or daily support, I'm sorry, plus the trend line resistance that's coming up from these points here. And I would like to take a trade here. So this is what I will be waiting for, this here. The invalidation, I would say, is there's a 786 here, which it may bounce off of. It may come down here, but I will say I would put my invalidation, me personally, I would put my invalidation here under the daily. And if it gets stopped out, then I will look to get in here or maybe down here. But if the triangle breaks down, in all seriousness, it may go a lot further. How further it will go, that's a lesson for another time, the possibilities. But for now, if it keeps on with this trend of the triangle, it should hit off of this resistance somewhere up here and then rotate back down here. And if it does, we will be sitting and waiting for it. We can buy here, and then we will try to trade it up to the top of the triangle. We'll take some profits, maybe halfway, or we'll hold it as long as it looks good. And if it gets to the resistance, we'll take some profits. If it keeps going, we'll ride the trade up. If it does not, then we will have taken our profits here when we'll keep moving our stop loss up until we're stopped out of trade, and then we will expect it to rotate back down to the bottom of the triangle. If it does, we'll take a trade again. If it keeps going, we'll get stopped out. We'll take a small loss and we'll look for the next setup. So that is your horizontals, your Fibonacci, and now your trend lines in which you can base it on. I think we'll do the next one on volume or something like that. But right now you have three things that you can work with so that you can have a good idea of where trades are going, and you can almost predict where they will be heading, to where you can be ready to enter instead of looking at the price pumping and then thinking I got to jump in now. No, once you have a good idea of where it is, where it might come back to, you stay there, you're ready to get in. So while the price is dropping and people are panicking and saying, oh, it's going low, I gotta, sell, we're actually ready to buy. So that's it for today. Inshallah, we will go get into it again, hopefully tomorrow or maybe in a few days. We'll do this more often, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Let's see how I end this, John, man. End it.